I would probably think the Ducati, right? We're gonna do another loop. My only issue is at this point, I don't think, like, at this point, I can't go into the dealership. Well, I say I can't. At this point, I will not go into the dealership and spend 25 grand at this point. And I think a lot of people got to realize that when you look at the sticker price does not tell you the entire story, right? So I always tell people, when you're shopping for motorcycles here in Texas anyway, be prepared, because all the taxes and shit that you got to pay on these bikes for motorcycles in general, or motorsports in general, is just be prepared, like whatever the sticker price is, or you know, just be prepared to add about $3,000 on top of that, and that's usually going to be your OTD or your out the door price. So seeing that, you know, the 1100 factory and the Ducati V4 base is already at like 25.6, you know, it's safe to say that, you know, you're going to be about 29,000 out the door with all the tax title license and all of the crate fees, all the assembly fees, all that bullshit that they put on you. Now they do have some incentives depending on how long you finance the bike. In my opinion, I don't really care about stuff like that, so I usually go about 60 to 72 months. I know that people will say like, oh, that's terrible, you know, 72 months, like, that's terrible. But the one thing that I always tell people is that always before you sign any deal with any financial institution that's going to give you that money, make sure that you have within the clause that you have the option for early payoff. That is key. You want the option for early payoff, and that is going to kind of save you on the interest, on how much interest you're going to be paying. So you got to be careful. Some of these institutions, they will have an early payoff penalty because they want you to pay all the interest. So I wouldn't go in right now and finance $20,000 to $29,000. That's just me. But what I would say is that I wouldn't be negative, hopefully, on the trade. I don't ever trade anything if I'm going to be negative equity. And then plus, when you're doing motorcycles, if you are negative, like if you're going to have negative equity, like you owe more than what they're going to give you, the new financial institution or your bank, whoever's going to give you the money, they will always, more than likely, 90% of the time, require you to put down the amount of money that you owe, the leftover, and then probably more. So just always remember that. But yeah, man, like, I'll definitely have to wait probably until like August, maybe September or so, when I start working again. Hopefully I can start working again. Still gonna be part-time because of my limitations, but I think that is when I'll probably be able to spend that kind of money on that. Plus I'll get a little bit more because I'll have more of the bike paid off. But if I were to go right now, I wouldn't be able to get it, right? If I were to go right now, shitty road, dude. Yeah, but if I were to go right now, honestly, and I'm kind of impatient sometimes, I'm trying to let the excitement kind of wear off, because ultimately I would like the 1100 factory from Aprilia kind of over the Ducati. It doesn't look as good, but I appreciate the looks now of the 25, the 24 and 25, and a lot of the issues that what's going on with Aprilia in 21 and 22, those happened with the 21 and 22 models. So they've kind of ironed those out. So it's like I'm seeing more and more people like on just the regular ones and the non-factory ones, just the regular ones. And I'm digging them. My only issue is that I kind of want the factory just because it's got the upgraded suspension and, you know, electronic suspension and stuff like that. But I'm not opposed to getting the base model. It still has the same engine, same power, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, it's a little different. And then just convert it over to carbon fiber and stuff like that. So I'm not opposed to that. But if I were to go and get the regular version right now, I could do that right now. You know what I mean? And trade that in. And trust me, I have been trying not to go to this place to look for one. Thankfully, the dealership here, they don't have any base models of the RSV4 in right now. They only have factory versions, but they do have a 2023. They have a 2023 model that is on sale for like $21,000. It's like $21,300, but it's a demo bike and it has like 250 miles on it. I got this bike and it had like 800 miles on it, 600 to 800 miles on it or something. Perfect steel. Yeah, I don't like trying to find the neutral in the down position. That's the only thing I don't like. I got to get used to that. But what was I gonna say? They have a 2023 model. It is an 1100 factory, and it looks really, really clean. I really just want like a brand new bike, like at least a 24 or 25. I think they look just a little better in my opinion. And it's just, I don't know. It's just preference at this point. But that $21,000 is looking very, very juicy. Now, like I said, adding about $3,000 onto that for tax on license. When you get a used bike, there's pros and cons. There's pros and cons. We're gonna talk about that real quick. Let's park it right here and talk about it. So, what I've learned is that there's pros and cons when you buy a used bike, right? The bank typically does not, well, the bank will finance it, right? If it's not too expensive. The second caveat to that is make sure the bike is not super expensive. This bike is going to be expensive. The RSV4 is going to be expensive. $20,000, it's pretty high. Second of all is on a used bike, the bank is always going to make you finance at a higher percentage rate. So for example, right now Aprilia is doing they're doing a pretty good deal at like 3.99%. For up to like 60 months, and then they might increase it a little bit if you go beyond that, but that's really, really good. If you were to get the used one, right? If you were to get the used one, the bank is probably going to come back, even with excellent credit. I have excellent credit. Let me turn this down a little bit in my helmet. But what I was trying to say is that even with excellent credit, mine's almost, it's like mid seven, I think it's like 760 or something like that, somewhere around there. Even with that, the bank is going to charge you something crazy. They're going to give you like 10%, 9, 10, 12%. They're going to give you something crazy if you don't try to negotiate with them. Usually what I will say is that if you are using a specific bank, like for example, I use Synchrony. I've used Synchrony for like my last 3 bikes, including this one. If you are already with them, they're not going to try to screw you too bad, right? Because they're going to see that especially if you have perfect payment history, they're going to be like, okay, we're not going to screw you over too bad. But they will always encourage you to get the newer bike. That's what they're going to always do. They try to encourage me to get the newer bike when I got this. And I was just like, there's no point. I'm not going to pay that much extra, the crate fees and all that stuff. I was just like, I'm not going to do that. So that's why I ended up getting this. The third caveat is that you have to think about used bikes. You usually don't have to pay the taxes on it because somebody already did that. To me, that's what's the most appealing thing about buying a used bike is that, again, usually
usually here in Texas, if it's used, somebody already paid those fees. So they already paid the crate fees, all the bullshit that they charge you at the dealership when you buy a new bike. The assembly fee, the crate fees, somebody already paid that, right? So you get away with not having to pay all those fees, but then you make up for it by paying a little higher in interest rate. So Aprilia is having a really good deal right now. Like I said, 3.99. It's just making it very, very tempting to get a new one, but like I said, if a factory one pulls up, I mean, if a non-factory one pulls up, I wouldn't be opposed to it. It's just growing on me, man. It's just growing on me. But at the same time, it's like, it makes me kind of sad because I haven't even touched the potential of this bike yet. But I knew that when I got this bike, that this was going to be like my starter 1000, and that it was my introduction to getting a leader bike and getting used to a sport bike. And I didn't want less power with the 600 or 750. I wanted a leader bike. And I think now that I've had some time on this thing, that I definitely am ready for an upgrade, but I don't need an upgrade. The Suzuki does everything for me, man. The parts have been relatively cheaper than the Euro bikes to mod and all that good stuff. You know, again, I'm just at that point where I was just like, ooh, I can kind of get what I want without spending top tier coin at this moment. I think I would rather have the regular Aprilia RSV4 over the BMW, which still has the inline engine. It's a V4. It sounds absolutely amazing, super exotic, and it's not 25 grand plus that 3,000 extra for that tax, title, and license. So it's like I can save a little bit of money there and then still have money to be able to mod it a little bit more. What I like about the RSV4 is that you can literally do just a slip-on, because the RSV4 comes with titanium factory headers. So once you do the slip-on, it gets rid of that catalytic converter, and you don't have to do anything else. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to buy a full system unless you just truly want a full system. So that's the other perk that I'm seeing that would make it a little more digestible to get an exhaust on there right away. The other thing is that I can buy a new map, Brand Tune, or, you know, they have different tunes out there, AF1, Brand Tune, you know, they got a few of them out there are directly from the factory. I'll probably get it directly from the factory so it doesn't void the warranty. But yeah, you know, it's just making a lot of sense, but again, it's not necessary. So I think what I'm gonna do is we're gonna get the mods done to this one that I want to do. After these mods get done on this, the only thing I would really want on this bike is rims. And at this point, knowing that I do want to upgrade, I'm not going to spend $3,000 on rims when I can just, if I'm going to have to spend that on a new bike, you know what I mean? So I'd rather spend the $3,000 on a newer bike than putting rims on this. The only other thing that I want with that factory is it comes with, you know, better rims, you know what I mean? It comes with forged rims, you know, so it is, you know, it is what it is. It's kind of a, you know, you got to pick and choose what you really want, you know. So I have options. Again, with the BMW S1K RR, you know, you're already looking at 25 plus. Ducati V4, you're already looking at 25 plus. You're already looking at 25 plus. With the RSV4 1100 factory, you're already looking at 25 plus. So, you know what I mean? I don't think I would spend another 25 plus on the S1000 at this point, and I'll just get a V4, sorry. Definitely can't afford a V4R, and I wouldn't even buy it. But yeah, man, that's kind of where I'm at, man. So like I said, I've been fighting the urge to take my ass down there. I know they have some in Austin, which is not far from here at all, but I'm trying to avoid going over there because I already know, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to avoid going over there. But I'm waiting on the one here in town to maybe pop one up, you know, and see it. But again, they only have factories in there right now, and the deals aren't as good. Now, the deals in Austin are a little bit better. The 1100 factories over there are not selling at MSRP at like 25 and some change, 25.6. Over in Austin, they have better deals where it's like $1,500 rebates. So they're listed around 23.8, 23, you know, stuff like that. A little more appealing, but you know, it is what it is. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think we should go and get another bike this year, or should we just enjoy this and then maybe upgrade in December, newer year? Because, you know, always in the December timeframe, new bikes come out. People put their bikes up for storage. It's kind of a give and take. You know, a lot of people trade in their bikes when it gets colder because they're waiting to get the new ones. So, you know, what do you think we should do? You think we should wait? Do you think we should just keep the Suzuki? Now, regardless of if I move up or not, if I get a new bike, I'm pretty sure the RSV4 is going to cost a little more on the insurance. And then again, my payment is going to go up. So it's going to go up a little bit, you know what I mean? It's definitely going to go up a little bit because of the higher finance costs. But I'm not too worried about that. I know where I want to be around. So that just means I got to get some money in place to make sure that I stay around the payment that I am comfortable with. But I don't know. I just don't know if it's the right move to make yet, or if I should just wait until I get a little more cash in hand to try to make that happen. It'll be a little easier transition. There's definitely no rush. Again, these bikes have been out. They don't make very many changes. The changes from year to year are very small increments. You know, they're incremental. They're nothing really huge. The only kind of thing that I'm worried about, or that I'm kind of interested in, is this Aprilia is going to completely overhaul the RSV4 for the next year's model. I'm going to try to do some more research and see if that's something that they're planning on doing, to decide if something that I'm willing to wait on, you know. But we shall see. Let's get it. Definitely the Moto GP. Definitely GP shift. I'm loving it. To me, it feels a little more smoother. Actually, a lot smoother when shifting. Just got to remember to keep my foot resting on top. I always feel like it's just, oh shit, see? I just put it in second. Ooh. It's a nice little run. Look how I love the color change. It's not even super hot outside, but these came out really good. These Alpines came out really good. Like I said, they go from black to plum purple to green. And when they cool back down, they go back to black. I love them. And the bike's dirty, super dirty.